Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Going the Distance. This is episode 60. Can you believe we've done 60 episodes? I can't. But I want to welcome the new members who are just joining me for the first time, and I want to welcome back the members who have been joining me from the beginning. Your support's greatly appreciated. So before we get started, hit the thumbs up and like the video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. On today's show, we've got some Dallas Cowboys news. We have some New Orleans Saints news. We have a Bill Belicheck comment I want to talk about. We have the championship game scores from last week. We have my Super Bowl prediction. And we've got the What We're Listening To segment. So let's jump into it. So first off, we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. They hired their new head coach, and they hired Brian Schottenheimer as their head coach. Now, he was already on staff. They just promoted him to head coach. To me, that's a bad move. He's been a good coordinator. He's bounced around team to team, but, that's because he only signs these 1-2 year deals and then moves on. So, I don't know how much the deal was for, but he signed the deal with the Cowboys to be their head coach. And, we'll see how it goes. Dallas is taking a gamble on Schottenheimer. I think it's a bad decision. And with some of the hirings they've had, like the Cowboys just hired former Bears coach Eberflus as their defensive coordinator. So, to me, it kind of seems like the Cowboys are going to be a joke next year with first-year head coach in Schottenheimer and Eberflus as defensive coordinator. Now, it's a little biased because I've never been a big Schottenheimer fan, and the Cowboys might surprise and they might do good next year. Who knows? But I think yesterday or today was the anniversary of the last time the Cowboys won the Super Bowl. And I think that was like 30 years ago. So if you want to talk about getting a Super Bowl for the Cowboys, I think Jerry Jones needs to go because, they've had these good players, these good coaches. They just can't win. And I think it's Jerry Jones's aura that is doing that. So I kind of combined two stories in one because Schottenheimer was hired as head coach and Eberflus was hired as the defensive coordinator. So we'll see how the Cowboys do next season. Dak will be back and healthy, hopefully. CeeDee Lamb will be back. Hopefully they'll have all their players from this year come back, like Cooks and all that. So we'll just see. But speaking of the Cowboys, Mike McCarthy is going to take this next year off in the coach and try to come back in the 2026 season. Now, that being said, it was reported that Mike McCarthy wanted a 5-year deal with the Cowboys, and Jerry wasn't willing to give him a 5-year deal. He was willing to give him a 3-year deal. Why just 3 years? I don't know. I mean, Mike's proved himself with the Cowboys. Why don't you give him a bigger contract, like a 5-year deal, like you would, anybody? But, we know Jerry's kind of a cheapskate because, as I reported on in the Week 18 scoring episode, Cooper Rush had an opportunity to gain an incentive if he played a certain number of games and a certain number of time in the games. Well, Jerry knows this, and he benches Cooper Rush and puts in Trey Lance. So Cooper doesn't get that incentive. Now, some people could say that might have been a coaching decision. Yeah, it might have been. And Mike might not have known about it, but Jerry knew about it, and Jerry should have stepped in and said, hey, he doesn't have to play all game, but he can play until he gets that incentive. I mean, Tampa Bay did it with Rob Gronkowski several years ago. When Tom and Gronk were playing, it was like a Week 18 game. and Gronk had an opportunity to get an incentive. So instead of resting their players, which they ended up doing, Tom and Gronk and them went out and played until that incentive was made, and then Bruce Arians sat them down. That's the way you do it, Jerry. You don't bench somebody and not give them the incentive. So, Mike, I'll be following you where you go. I hate you left. I know I've kind of been lukewarm with you in your coaching career, but you did good for the Cowboys. So you're going to do good wherever you go. So I'll be keeping an eye on you. So speaking of former Cowboys, Kellen Moore, who is with the Philadelphia Eagles now, is now favored to get the New Orleans Saints job. Now, that being said, that saves us, in my opinion, from one big thing and something nobody really thought about. But it might save us from Aaron Rodgers going to another team. I think Aaron's going to retire. I hope he retires. I hope he goes away. I hope I hope we're done with Aaron after this season. But I think if Mike McCarthy had gone to New Orleans, or anybody else had gone to New Orleans, they would have tried to, gear Aaron to go where they were going. Kellen Moore won't do that. He'll either draft a quarterback or he'll keep Derek Carr, which I think he should keep Derek Carr if he gets the job. He doesn't have the job yet, but Kellen Moore is favored for the Saints job. I think Kellen would have been good for the Cowboys job, but we see where that went. So, now we're going to talk about what Bill Belichick brought up on the Pat McAfee show. I believe it was on Monday. I think Bill's a regular on the Pat McAfee show. And as you guys that follow sports know, Bill Belichick is the new head coach of the UNC Tar Heels football program. So all eyes are going to be on Chapel Hill next season to see how Chapel Hill does. And I've read where Chapel Hill has a primetime game next season to start the season. So we all get to see how Bill's coaching style does with the Tar Heels. But anyway, off track. Sorry, y'all. Had to yawn. Bill Belichick suggested on the Pat McAfee show that they should change the name of the Lambardi Trophy to the Brady Trophy. I see it. I see why he said that. Tom's the greatest of all time. Nobody will be able to touch what Tom Brady does, not even Mahomes, even though they want him to. Mahomes will not be Tom Brady. Tom won 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots, 1 with Tampa Bay, had all these records. So he's won more Super Bowls than any team imaginable. So, yeah, rename it the Brady Trophy. But, I know there's going to be some controversy behind that because of everything, that Brady went through with the Patriots, which I think is bogus. But that's beside the point. Anyway, I hope they change it from the Lombardi Trophy to the Brady Trophy. And, we could be talking about who wins the first ever Brady Trophy at the Super Bowl. Maybe that'll be next year. It might even, they might even make an exception and put Tom Brady in the Hall of Fame early. Who knows? Anyway, I'm just spitballing here. That would be absolutely fantastic if they renamed it, because it would be in honor of Tom and all he's achieved. Plus, it would make people jealous, which is always kind of cool too, which is always kind of fun. Anyway, let's move to some scoring opportunities. And the playoff championship games were last week. And how do y'all feel about who won the games and who's going to the Super Bowl? And if you don't know, that's why I'm here. I'm here to tell you. I'm not going to lie. I was disappointed this year in the games. Not just a little bit, very disappointed in the games this year. And, it's almost like with one of the games, it's like they're throwing it in our face. Oh, we're going to do this. We know y'all don't like us, so we're just going to do it just to do it. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But to start out the first championship game, it was the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Redskins, or the Commanders, playing each other in Philadelphia. Well, sorry, y'all, had to yawn again. So Philadelphia defeats the Redskins 55-23, and it looked like the Redskins hadn't even been out on a football field before. I mean, they weren't doing the connections. They weren't running for first downs. They weren't guarding Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown. They were letting Jalen Hurts run all over the field. They were throwing in. Jalen Daniels was throwing interceptions. I mean, there was just so much wrong with this. And Philadelphia was scoring on it all. So the final score of that was 55-23. So Philadelphia is one of the teams that move into the Super Bowl. Not going to lie, disappointed with it. The Redskins should have won. The Redskins should be there, but the Redskins should have played better too. And as for the next game, we are not, I'm going to try to keep a level head with this, but, it was the Chiefs and the Bills playing each other. Now, if you go back and look, in earlier shows, I picked the Bills to go to the Super Bowl this year. They had the team, they had the mindset, they had everything you needed. Amari Cooper was there. James Cook was doing good. Josh Allen was in the right headspace. I mean, the team was a complete team. But you'd never know. You would never know that looking at this game. Because the Chiefs defeated the Bills 32-29, which makes the third year in a row the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. And I, for one, am sick of it. I'm sick of all the preferential treatment that the Chiefs are getting. There were first downs that were taken away from the Bills. There were touchdowns taken away from the Bills. It was just so many bad calls. There was an interception that was taken away. So much was wrong with it, and it was so blatant. There were face mask penalties that weren't called against the Chiefs on the Bills when it was clear they had him. There were several roughing the passer penalties I saw. Now, granted, the Bills should have never gone for two 2-point conversions, and they should have just taken the points. Should have just taken the 1 point, and we'd be probably talking about a completely different outcome here. But as it stands right now, it's Philadelphia and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And from here on out, we're not referring to Patrick Mahomes as Patrick Mahomes. He's now known as Kermit the Frog. I mean, it's true. Man sounds like Kermit. And the Chiefs are cheaters. I'm not ashamed to say it. I've thought it. I've called them the cheating Chiefs all season, and that's what they are. So if you hear me say the cheaters versus whoever, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Because it's the Chiefs. And that's how I feel. And I've been mad and upset about it for as long since Sunday. Because it's just as blatant as it can be that the refs are favoring the Chiefs. And they don't start out. They don't start out right away. They wait until, the other team has an advantage. But then when it looks like the Chiefs are going to lose, that's when it all starts to come. That's when all the penalties shift to the other team. And they favor Patrick Mahomes. And here's my theory on that. I've been thinking a lot about this. And I've been like, okay, so, why do the refs favor the Chiefs so much? And I figured out it's because Patrick Mahomes got paid all this money his second year, signed a 10-year deal worth, I'm not even going to say how much. You guys can go look and see how much because it just makes me mad every time. And it would be bad for an investment if he got hurt the way he did and was out for a full season. It might be what the Chiefs need. And Travis Kelce, when you retire, you can take Kermit the Frog with you, because I don't like either one of you. In fact, I say Super Bowl prediction. I'm not even picking this year because we know what the outcome's going to be. We know that Philadelphia, if they're poised to win the game, the refs are going to come out and they're going to give penalties to Philadelphia and give the Chiefs first downs. They're going to give them to a point where it's a touchdown. Which, by the way, let me back up a little bit and mention something about this Philadelphia Redskins game I forgot about. There's a player for the Redskins who was just as dumb as he could be and kept jumping the pile right there at the 1 yard line to the point where the refs actually had to come on and say, "We have warned the Redskins, and if this continues to happen, we will be forced to just give Philadelphia points." And I thought, well, that's kind of what, and all this kind of made me think for a minute, and I thought, I've never seen this happen before. But then I thought about it and thought, yeah, we've kind of seen it before. Not them jumping the pile, on a extra point or a 2-point conversion, but we've seen the refs throw flags and give first downs to the Chiefs when, it was clear the Chiefs should have been penalized. But enough about that. The more I talk about it, the more upset it makes me. But anyway, the cheating Chiefs defeated the Bills 32-29, and they're going to the Super Bowl. So it's going to be Philadelphia versus the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I'm not picking this year. I don't have a dog in the fight. But let me know who you guys want to see win. If you're going to watch, let me know. Because I've been seeing on the internet a lot of people are going to not watch the Super Bowl this year because the Chiefs are in it. And it did cross my mind, but, then I wouldn't have commentary about the big game in 2 weeks. So I'm going to watch the game, and we'll see what the outcome is. The only bright side about this is, the NFL's over, but starting in March, which if the Chiefs keep doing this, I'm going to switch to watching the UFL. The UFL starts in March, so I'll be keeping an eye on that. The Birmingham Stallions are the defending champs. Skip Holtz is the coach of that team. But I'm going to learn more about the UFL, and we'll keep tabs on the NFL and the UFL. I'm excited about the UFL, and if you guys haven't been, watching the UFL here lately, you guys need to start watching. This will be its second year. If you guys remember last year when we talked about it, it's when the USFL and the XFL combined and made the UFL. The Rock is part owner of that. So I thought it was exciting last season, and what they did is they kept all the teams from USFL and XFL and just put them all in one league. And then to me, they should have USFL and XFL teams in the championship every year, but that's only if they're good, if they deserve it. And we'll determine that as the season progresses. But again, that starts in March, so we'll be, keep an eye out for that. As a side note, I kind of hate to bring this up, but this past week, on the 26th, was the 5-year anniversary of Kobe Bryant's passing. I can't believe it's been 5 years, y'all. But it has been. And do you guys remember where y'all were when Kobe Bryant passed? I do. And it was a tremendous loss. Granted, he had only been retired for 4 years when he passed, but it's been 5 years now, so I just wanted to bring that up. But that was all for the sports news and scores. So now we're going to move into the what we're listening to segment, who we're listening to. And who are we listening to this week? We're listening to Montgomery Gentry. They're a country rock band out of Summit, Kentucky. They formed in 1999, and I actually found out about them in 1999 with their debut album, Tattoos and Scars, which is a fantastic album. They've had 11 studio albums, 38 singles, 26 music videos, 5 compilation albums, and no live albums. Their new album is called Outskirts. And, I hate to bring this up too, but back in 2017, we lost Troy Gentry in a helicopter accident. So, the band actually, Troy passed in 2017. Eddie released Outskirts in 2018, and that was the last album for Montgomery Gentry. Now, Eddie has continued singing, and he goes by the Montgomery Gentry to keep Troy's memory alive, and he released an album called Ain't No Closing Me Down in 2021, and that was the last thing he did until late last year, early this year, when he did a remake of Brotherly Love with his brother, John Michael Montgomery. So, it's hard to believe we lost 2 great singers in 2017, because we lost Troy in 2017 and we lost Chester in 2017. In fact, it was Chester in July and Troy in September. So, it's just sad to think all these great musicians are passing the way they are. But on a lighter note, my favorite album from Montgomery Gentry is Tattoos and Scars. And I actually listened to that album yesterday, and it's just as great today as it was the day it came out. In fact, what I want you guys to do, I know I keep harping on this, but it's what song we're listening to. We're not doing songs this week. I mean, we're doing songs, but I want you guys to listen to the whole Tattoos and Scars album, because it is a great album start to finish. So, let me know what you guys think. Who are you guys listening to? What kind of music do y'all listen to, new subscribers? I want you guys to comment your thoughts on the show today. Comment who you guys are listening to, and who your favorite football teams are, and what your favorite sport is. And as always, if you haven't already done so, hit that like button, the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode, and then hit the notification bell so you know when I post. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys for going the distance with me. I hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed weekend. And I will be back next week with more sports news and music news. God bless.